Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayaudirayet Nashtaprayasho Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloki Tirbhavati Nashtaki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Chapter 28, verse number 53. Hey, Leena Mataji, go ahead. Leena कब से Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Api smarasi chatmanam avidnyata sakham sakhe hitva mam padam anvichan bhauma bhoga rato gataha. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Api smarasi, do you remember Cha also, Atmanam, the super soul? Avijnata, unknown, Sakham, friend, Sakhe, oh friend, Hitva, giving up, Mam, me, Padam, position, Anvichan, desiring. Bhama, material, Bhoga, enjoyment, Rataha, attached to, Gataha, you became. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Brahmana continued, my dear friend, even though you cannot immediately recognize me, can't you remember that in the past you had a very intimate friend? Unfortunately, you gave up my company and accepted a position as enjoyer of this material world. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, verse 27, Ichcha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani sammoham sarge yanti parantapa. O sign of Bharata, Arjuna, conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, overcome by the dualities of desire and hate. This is an explanation of how the living entity falls down into this material world. In the spiritual world, there is no duality, nor is there hate. The Supreme Personality of Godhead expands himself into many. In order to enjoy bliss more and more, the Supreme Lord expands himself in different categories. As mentioned in the Varaha Puran, he expands himself in Vishnu Tattva, the Swamsha expansion, and in his marginal potency, the Vibhinansha, or the living entity. These expanded living entities are innumerable, just as the minute molecules of sunshine are innumerable expansions of the sun. The Vibhinansha expansion, the marginal potencies of the Lord, are the living entities. When the living entities desire to enjoy themselves, they develop a consciousness of duality and come to hate the service of the Lord. In this way, the living entities fall down into the material world. In the Prema Vivarta, it is said, Krishna Bahir Mukha Hana Bhog Vancha Kare Nikatasthar Maya Tare Japatiya Dhare. The natural position of the living entity is to serve the Lord in a transcendental loving attitude. When the living entity wants to become Krishna himself or imitate Krishna, he falls down into the material world. Since Krishna is the Supreme Father, his affection for the living entity is eternal. When the living entity falls down into the material world, the Supreme Lord, through his Swamsha expansion, Paramatma, keeps company with the living entity. In this way, the living entity may someday return home back to Godhead. By misusing his independence, the living entity falls down from the service of the Lord and takes a position in this material world as an enjoyer. That is to say, the living entity takes his position within a material body. Wanting to take a very exalted position, the living entity instead becomes entangled in a repetition of birth and death. He selects his position as a human being, a demigod, a cat, dog, a tree, etc. In this way, the living entity selects a body out of the 8,400,000 forms and tries to satisfy himself by a variety of material enjoyment. The super soul, however, does not like him to do this. Consequently, the super soul instructs him to surrender onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord then takes charge of the living entity. But unless the living entity is uncontaminated by material desires, he cannot surrender to the Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter, verse 29, the Lord says, Bhoktaram yagnatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram surdam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim rachati. The sages, knowing me as the ultimate purpose of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and a benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attain peace from the pangs of material miseries. The supreme lord is the supreme friend of everyone. However, no one can take advantage of the Supreme Friend's instruction while making his own plans to become happy and entangling himself in the modes of material nature. When there is creation, the living entities take on different forms according to past desires. This means that all the species or forms of life are simultaneously created. Darwin's theory stating that no human being existed before the beginning, but that humans evolved after many, many years, is simply a nonsensical theory. From Vedic literature, we find that the first creature within the universe is Lord Brahma. Being the most intelligent personality, Lord Brahma could take charge of creating all the variety found within this material world. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjanjalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahiyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Deenbandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishbhanuste Devi Pranamami Adi Priyai Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakti Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pashtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pacharine Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paschatya Deshadarine. The Brahmana continued, my dear friend, even though you cannot immediately recognize me, can't you remember that in the past you had a very intimate friend? Unfortunately, you gave up my company and accepted a position as enjoyer of this material world. All right, if you can turn on your cameras, that will be really nice. If not, I understand. We are reading from 4th Canto Srimad Bhagavatam, which is entitled Creation of the Fourth Order, chapter number 28, which is entitled King Puranjana becomes a, what does he become?
In the next life.
Woman in the next life.
Woman in the next life.
Woman in the next life, and the woman that he has become is Vidarbhi. And now we are at the point where the woman's husband, whose name was, what was the name of the woman's husband? Malaya Dwaja. Malaya Dwaja has left his body while meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what was she going to do?
She's going to jump into the fire.
She want to jump into the fire.
Very nice. So she wanted
End
to
her
jump
life.
into the fire. And right at the moment when she was going to jump into the fire, who appears?
Brahmana. Brahmana. Krishna appears.
Krishna is the Brahmana appears.
In the form of a
Brahmana
Brahmana.
appears, who is actually Krishna. And then he starts to speak in very sweet words, a sweet language.
Yes.
So he starts to talk in very sweet language about, what is he talking so far? What has he said?
He's talking about austerities, your husband and she was
Nine.
His daughter and
Who are you? Okay.
Who are you? Yes.
Whose daughter?
What are you doing?
Daughter, wife.
Whose body is lying here?
Body. Whom you are crying? Why you are crying?
Ah, very nice. Why are you crying? And then
You don't know
Don't
who
you
I am.
remember me?
You don't
you
know who I am.
remember me.
You don't.
Yes.
You don't remember me. I
I am
did
your.
you.
I'm your.
Very nice.
He is a very intimate
Everybody's
friend of mine.
oriented. Yes, thank you. So, who are you? And then he says, my dear friend, even though you cannot immediately recognize me, can't you remember in the past? You see, he's like trying to remind him some way or the other because the memory loss, no? In the past, you had a very intimate friend, but then you gave up my company and took a position of enjoyer in this material world. So this is all going to be understood if we clearly understand the difference between passing away of Puranjana and Vidarbhi's pastime. Puranjana, I keep repeating the same thing in every class. Puranjana also died thinking of his wife mostly of his wife. That was the whole deal, that he got a woman's body, right? But Vidarbhi was also going to die thinking of her husband. But then Krishna appears in Vidarbhi's was so-called like pastime or the lifespan, but not in Puranjana's passing. It was actually very miserable. A Kalakanya appeared. You know who all appeared when he was going to die? Vishnu Rata. What was that? Vraja Rata. What's the name of the high fever sent by Vishnu?
Prajwara Mataji.
Vishnushwar.
Prajwara. And then
Prajwara.
one more guy appeared, Kala.
Kala.
And who was a Kala? No, Kala Kanya. And then who was the third person? Who Kala Kanya was supposed to get married? That
Yavana's brother,
Air
Mataji.
personified, Javana.
Yavana.
Yavana Raj.
Kala Yavana.
Yavan Raj, yes, Yavan Raj. So they appeared. My God, like imagine, like somebody is passing away. So most of the people, when they're passing away and they're not fixed in Krishna consciousness, they feel scared. They have a feeling of fear. So many times I've heard some different people that when their loved ones are passing away, they see this fear on their face. There's a very nice article in Back to Godhead magazine, which I read 2-3 years ago, which was written by a devotee whose father was passing away in hospice in Vrindavan Dham. Now, I thought like Vrindavan Dham will be easy, right? But then she's writing that the father was not a devotee all his life. This devotee was initiated devotee, and the father had come. She had called her father from, I think, Germany or somewhere, and he was dying. He was in hospice. So during the last weeks, he could see the Yamadutas. He would describe it to her, the features of the people that he could see, and he would shout that let me sleep. So basically, they can see all this. Like recently, one of the nurses that I work with in the hospital, her father passed away, and she was telling when the father was like on the last deathbed, he was saying that he could see these black bats and dark, black. She's American. She doesn't know all this, but she said my dad was saying he could see these black bats flying in a dark sky, and there are big dogs. Basically, you can understand that if we happen to be present, then we can actually incite auspiciousness by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. But if a person is not established in Krishna consciousness, but Puranjana died, then all these people are gonna come. And there's Prajwara and Yavan Raj, my God. And when we are actually established, firmly fixed in the service to an authentic and bona fide spiritual master, then Krishna comes. Because Krishna understands that the consciousness is not yet purified. So he wants his devotee to live in a proper consciousness. That is what happened in one more pastime in Srimad Bhagavatam, a Jamil, second chance. Right? He got a second chance. It's not that he died.
Yes.
But he was given one more chance after he was reminded, his memory was reminded by the Vishnu Dutas. Then he was given a second chance, and he took the chance, and he went to the banks of Ganges and Haridwar and purified his consciousness, and then left his body. So this is also kind of a parallel story. Vidarbhi is getting a second chance. You have a chance to purify your consciousness. So whoever thinks that a woman cannot go back to Godhead, kindly direct them to this pastime, and how Krishna has come himself to remind her, making sure that she goes back to Godhead. Okay, so it's all very fanatic explanations. The woman cannot go back to Godhead. Why not? Krishna wants everybody. So, philosophically speaking, this verse describes the root cause of my existence, where I am. The root cause, mula, right? Mula karan. In Sanskrit, Prabhupada explains this word mula karan. Mula means root. Karan means cause. So, what is the root cause? You can say immediate causes. Oh, because I am a child of this family, so I'm here. Or I stay, we all are staying in different parts of the earth, so we can all have our own reasoning to choose why we are where we are, right? Somebody may say, oh, my job transferred me here, or my family is here, or my husband's house is here, or my parents are here, or my education is here. So we have these are immediate reasons of why we are here. But the very root reason why I'm here is because I chose to be here. It's not that Krishna wanted me to be here, because this is an explanation of how the living entity falls down into material world. All living entities are born into delusion, overcome by dualities of desire and hate. Okay, but we come from a place where there is no hate and there is no duality. That is why anybody in this class would love to be criticized and bullied by their community. Everybody talking ill about anybody in this class. Oh, I'm gonna go out of my house. I'm gonna open the gate of my house. I'm gonna go out and people will start blaspheming me. Oh, you are this, you are that. Yeah, anybody looking forward for that kind of a welcome every day, day after day?
No.
No, Mataji.
No.
We are not looking forward for that. But so basically, we don't want any bothering. We don't want to be known as a bad guy. In other words, I want to be a good person who's positively contributing to the society where I'm living, right? But we still get. But anybody in this class who has never been criticized by anybody in their life, whole life, far, nobody has said anything bad about you ever.
No, Mataji, that is also not possible.
That is not
No,
possible.
We face many
Everybody
things
is subject to criticism.
Everybody is criticized.
Well, somebody who has narcissistic traits may say, you should be grateful I'm in your life. That's altogether different mental disorder. But yes, everybody is subjected to hatred, and everybody is subjected to. There are people in our life who appreciate our presence in their life, like at least our children, if you have a child, or our parents. There'll be somebody who appreciates our presence in their life, and there'll be so many who actually don't like or don't care. So what we are born into delusion. This is delusion, duality, two, hate and desire, or hate, like or dislike. So what makes me come into? I don't want to be there. I don't want to be in an environment where there is hate or disrespect. I would like to be respected, and I'll think about respecting others. That's how the material conditioned life is, and that's a waste of time, because we are situated in the material mode of nature, and we are talking in the material mode of nature. So we'll never be able to come out of the material mode of nature, because when we talk, we make a thought process, and then the thought process becomes action. And if the action is done or followed by people in the family, it becomes a tradition. And when the tradition is passed on from one generation to another, then it becomes a culture. And then how it becomes a norm. So somebody has to break that generational, the generational tradition that's going on, that we will always have people that you will like, and you'll always have people you will not like. We say, okay, there are always going to be people that we will get along better than the others, but like and dislike are not the words used, because those are the vocabulary of the material modes of nature. Einstein said this, right? And what is the Prem Prakash Haridas Prabhu? You will know this. What is it? Albert Einstein said that we cannot solve the problem by using the same thinking that created the problem in the first place. Right?
Yeah, the solution of the problem is always different.
Yeah. So he said, okay, we cannot solve the problem by using the same thought that created the problem in the first place. So basically, if my reason for being here philosophically, intellectually, is because I chose to be here because I didn't like Krishna's service, then I cannot solve the problem by philosophizing something else with the same mind. I have to approach to something else. Okay, and then Prabhupada says the enjoying tendency is in Krishna. Krishna has made, we make so many plans. Anybody in this room has made no plans to enjoy or relax ever in their life. Always the same.
Mataji, every day we make plans. Or we can be comfortable and carry on.
Where is that tendency coming from? You know, where is that tendency? It's because Krishna is like that. Krishna is a supreme enjoyer. Okay, so Krishna is a supreme enjoyer, and his enjoying tendency is at a grand scale. You know, he's making Vishnu Tattvas and these Jiva Tattvas, or Vibhinanshas or Swamshas, to make so many people around him so that he can enjoy with his expansions. And that's the reason for my creation. But I do have this tendency or a free will given by him that I can say no anytime. You know, and Krishna will take no for no. He will not try to force his yes. He will try to persuade us in different manners, send his representatives, and give us the shastras, give us human form of life, give us all the facilities of a human life, but he will still leave the final decision on us. Okay, and this is a very nice verse that Prabhupada quotes many times in his lectures, that Krishna Bahir Mukha, Hana Bhog Vancha Kare. Krishna Bahir Mukha means when a living entity starts to look outside, takes its mouth outside. For what? Bhog Vancha, to enjoy. Then what happened? Nikatastha Maya Tare Chapatiya Dhare. So Nikatastha, the Maya is just sitting right there outside, and it just grabs it. You know, if you say a 5-year-old child, don't go outside alone, don't go, because there's so many dangers. Don't cross the road without mommy or daddy or somebody from home, because you may get hurt. But the child goes anyway, and then there's so many dangers. Like that. One devotee explained this material world like this. I think I said it before. He said, all right, the material world is like we are in a room and the room is locked from outside. And the person who has locked the room has said that, okay, you can enjoy life as much as you want within this room. As much as you want. You can enjoy life and you can do whatever you want within this room. But there is one condition. The minute you want to come out, you're going to be shot. So it'll be no more. Now Minister Prabhu used to tell us this, that there is a red warning. You know, there are warning signs with different colors, right? Yellow is like hazardous, but red is like an emergency, or fire also. So this is red warning in this material world. And this warning is given to each and every soul who is coming to the material world. And anybody who comes inside doesn't go out alive, but we enter anyway. So Krishna has to make these arrangements to help us forget him so that we do something else. It is difficult to forget Krishna, but we're finding it very easy to forget him right now. Why? Because it is the play of the external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So misusing his independence. Living entity falls down from the service of the Lord. Every word is so powerful and takes a position of, in this material world, as an enjoyer. Everybody in this material world is trying to be happy and by their plans. If you ask, you know, somebody that, okay, you want to be happy, so what are you going to do to become happy? Everybody will have their own plans. Yeah or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
And that particular plan is just a beginning of somebody's miserable life. According to Prahlad Maharaj, I'm not saying it. And Krishna says that too in 5th chapter Bhagavad Gita, 22nd verse. What does he say? Yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkhayo naya evate adi antavanta kantaya
Nateshu Ramte Buddha.
ramate buddha. So yehi samsparshaja bhoga. So whatever enjoyment we are receiving from the touch of the senses and sense objects is the beginning of one's miserable life. Wow, this is beginning of once. And Prahlad Maharaj says exactly the same thing in 7th Canto Srimad Bhagavatam. So the minute we execute the plan of becoming happy, the miserable life comes along with it. Okay, if somebody wants to come to Switzerland, okay, or Singapore, right now people are moving to Singapore a lot, I've heard. Miserable life begins. You have to struggle so much to go there. Okay, once you land there, you still have to struggle so much to settle there. All right, the happiness is tomorrow. There's always a rain check, right? It's tomorrow. Okay, and then get a job or have some way of earning money, because money brings power to purchase objects of sense gratification. And then purchase. And then one time it becomes like overwhelming. I've seen so many people, their house is filled with things, and then they feel overwhelmed that why did I do what I did? Why did I purchase so much? At some point, because Krishna gives these reminders, you really don't need simple living, high thinking. Anyway, so our plans doesn't work out in the long run. That is why we keep making different plans. That is why there's so many books, how to be happy, how not to be unhappy, how to rule over others' brain. I don't know how to, so many how to, because nobody knows how to. So there are so many how to's. Something will work. So, but this is a very simple process. That pick up those beads, chant Hare Krishna, and change the thinking. We cannot solve the problem by the same thought process that created the problem. So to get answer or to come out of this dilemma, we have to change our thinking. And to change the thinking, we have to adopt a different process. And the process is to chant the holy names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Loud and clear. It's not that, it's not that we have to do so big things or big arrangements or go to a university and get a very big degree after so many years of, the other day I was telling my students at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, there is a doctor. All right, so we were reading because we wanted to consult some department, so we were looking up. So I was looking at his resume because it was there on the website. All right, so he did his medical college from one country, okay, and then he did his what did he do? Internal medicine, post graduation in internal medicine, okay, and then he moved to UK, and then he did his cardiology fellowship, and then he did his cardiac ICU postdoc. And then from UK, he moved to United States. He did pediatric urology, general surgery, and then pediatric urology. So basically, the guy can't decide what to do, what to do with his life. Can't decide. So many different departments. I don't even know how he did so many things. And I think he'll be like 80 years old by now. I don't know. So basically, the material nature keeps giving us different kinds of ideas, different kinds of proposals that become happy like this, happy so what was making me happy in the past is not making me happy anymore now, right? Do we all have such things in our life which was making us happy? Let's say eating
Yes,
was a very
yes,
happy
Mataji.
time, but not anymore so much. Yeah, my parents tell me that with age the taste changes, the appetite changes, the digestion changes. That's one example. Or if, do you all have something like this? I was happy. This was source of my happiness.
Happens, Mataji.
Yes,
That
Mataji.
happens.
Yes, Mataji, music,
But not anymore.
eating.
Not anymore. So how come not anymore? How come? Because material nature, because the happiness, the object of happiness that we chose that will make us happy was in the 3 modes of material nature. So we are still, Prabhupada is writing this, that we just go on, repetition becomes entangled, right? He's writing here, wanting to take and very exalted position, the living entity instead becomes entangled in the repetition of that. So if we are intelligent, if we are really intelligent, and intelligent means what? What is the function of intelligence? What's the function of intelligence?
Discrimination.
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 Yes. So if we are really intelligent, it means we've really sharpened that particular decision-making ability from a very, at least from the mode of goodness, then that person will come and surrender to Krishna. Then that person will somehow or other, they will find a reason to come and surrender. The life will not be so purposeless. Right? It will not be so disadvantageous. And the end will not be so horrific. Like Puranjana, man, he died. He was like, gosh, these dangerous living entities were surrounding him. Scary. But Krishna makes sure that if I'm not ready fully to come and enter and live with the living entity, live with his devotees in the spiritual world, then I get ready. You know, like he's doing it in the case of Vidarbhi, like he did in the case of Parikshit Maharaj, like he did in the case of Ajamil. Like so many cases we know, we see it in front of us, these devotees, because Krishna also wants me. He wants me more than I want him. So in this holy month of Kartik, try to do something more that you would not do, so that you can intensify this love for the spiritual master and for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Something you do. I think we discussed this few weeks ago. Take up, maybe chant one more round. Of course, everyone should do Damodar Ashtakam. Chant one more round every day extra, or take up some austerity. Because that austerity, and offer it to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I am taking the hardship to make you happy in this little service, Krishna. Please accept this service. Like if I love my children, I will go extra mile to bring them happiness. Okay? Do you people who are parents in this class, devotees who are parents, have you done that in your life?
Yes.
Your children?
Yes.
Yes, Mataji.
Mataji will
And you
do.
want,
At our
and you
own
want to
Do for my
inconvenience.
children.
Yes.
So you have taken inconvenience so that you can bring happiness to the child, to your child. Like that, take some inconvenience to bring some offering, as an offering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he likes it. He likes to be offered all these things in austerity. So give him, because anyway, it's the whole month is like that. All right, so this particular verse in a nutshell, very beautiful verse, because Krishna, so assuring verse that Krishna never leaves his devotee under any circumstance. If I'm not ready, I need not fear, because Krishna will come and in some form, shape or form, and will remind me to focus on this particular area to get ready to come back to the spiritual world, which we are seeing in the case of Vidarbhi, that there is still a little bit of an attachment to her very exalted husband, and how Krishna is going to solace that. He is not saying don't cry. He's not saying don't grieve. Okay, he's not saying become feelingless, and he's not even throwing a big philosophy on her either. He's just talking about relationship. That's postgraduate study of Krishna consciousness, by the way. Okay, postgraduate study is Chaitanya Chaitamrita, or maybe postdoc, because undergraduate we say is Bhagavad Gita, postgraduate is Srimad Bhagavatam, and then postdoc is Chaitanya Chaitamrita. And Chaitanya Chaitamrita is all about relationships, all about names, all about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spending time with his intimate associates. So much prasadam, so much dancing, so much visiting, so much travel, So that's postdoc. Yes, it's so deep. Sambandha Gyan is very deep. Abhiday Gyan, Prayojan Gyan is very deep. And these are the things which we all can do with Supreme Personality of Godhead. So make yourself ready, make ourselves ready. Let's help each other in this endeavor, so that we don't lead a purposeless life, a life where we feel lonely. There's no need. There's a difference between being alone and being lonely. There's a huge difference. People are lonely. Why? Because we don't see the friend, very past, very intimate friend, which is right there. So we all need help. to see this very intimate friend who's very like eager to talk and eager to take me back. Any questions, reflection, realization? Vijanti Mataji, your hand was up. Go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Puranjana also, he was going with seven-hooded serpent, and a friend was behind him, but he never turned back to see his friend, Mataji. Why, Mataji? Why didn't he turn to his friend?
Seven-hooded serpent is his life here. Five-hooded, not seven-hooded. Five-hooded serpent.
Yes, my God. But why didn't he turn to his friend who was walking along with him, Mataji?
Krishna was walking along with Puranjana? Is that what you're saying?
Friend, along with his friend, Puranjana with his friend and a five-hooded serpent. He was going through all the gates, they were saying, Mataji, in the previous, in Puranjana story. Hare Krishna.
I'm not understanding the question. Prem Prakash Haridas, are you understanding the question? Could you address it?
No. Could you come again?
Why did Puranjana not look back to his friend? Hare Krishna.
Because we are also not doing, because he was representing a conditioned living entity. Puranjana means a conditioned living entity, right? Allegorically. So misusing, so we are all doing the same thing, misusing his independence. But Vidarbhi, on the other hand, is representing a very surrendered disciple to an exalted spiritual master. So how the service to the exalted spiritual master can actually give us proper intelligence to use our independence.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Got it, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I do want to say something, but I think Ayushi Mataji, is your question according to the topic or is it off the topic?
It's related to class. What you asked.
Okay, go ahead.
Today is your Kartik one start. So from today we will offer deep dan. From today or from tomorrow, Mataji. From today we will do the Diya Dan. From today. Today to what date?
I don't know what
there
is the date in India.
There is no any banner shared in the group. 29th of November.
I don't know the dates in India. 29. Okay.
29.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhu.
It's 29.
There is no any banner shared in group. That's why I was asking. Sorry, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Anybody has any other question, reflection, realization?